baseball. They scored! Oh my God! Can you believe it? Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Perkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again. Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the wall. Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? Did he? He did. He did. Red win. Win. Line to the right field. Junior, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
All right, Nick, it's a Sunday night edition of Chatterbox Reds, one in which I'm sure the chat is going to be lovely, fired up, and very impressed by your hometown Redlegs. Nick, last time that we obviously were on the airwaves, some things have changed. There's been some roster additions. I'm sure we'll discuss that. We'll discuss probably the ineptitude at times that this offense showcases. Do we make much of it, or do we just say, hey, it was a long stretch of baseball, and they were probably relatively at their wits' end, and hopefully there's some sign of change coming soon. But, on the forefront, Nick, I guess I'll just openly say, it's tough to do shows like this sometimes because largely you feel like you're discussing some of the same characteristics over and over and over again. And you're trying to come up with a new way to paint it, and I'm sure we'll figure out a way to do it as we run through this show. But another shutout loss doesn't hurt as bad because they gave up 6, but nonetheless 6-0 to the Houston Astros, and another rubber game that they're incapable of winning after losing the first game of a series. I was hoping we could kind of check that off and get rid of that stat, Nick, but yet here we sit still on Sunday night. Happy Mother's Day, by the way, all the moms, and especially our two lovely wives and our mothers as well, Nick.
Yes. Start there today for sure. My wife gives up a lot so I can do this stupid show every night. So shout out to her.
That's right.
Yeah, look, I wish the Reds would have scored 2 cheap runs in the ninth so we just don't have to talk about the shutout, because this game was never, the Reds were never in this game. The shutout is what it is to me. I honestly think, Trace, the Reds are fortunate they got out of Houston with 1 win because they got shut out twice and they gave up 9 runs in the one game. So overall, I think you should be almost pretty happy with that you got that 1 win on Saturday. And it's just the same thing. We've just been saying this series, it is what it is. You were never in the game on Friday. You were never in the game on Sunday. It just makes the games on Thursday hurt more. That's the story of the season for the Reds for me.
Yeah, I can't make up my mind yet. I obviously am lean probably a little more towards the pessimistic side, and you lean more towards the optimistic side, and I think that probably is what makes more or less this show kind of a nice place to be. If you're a Reds fan, you can kind of get an idea on both sides of the aisle of what people think or how they're feeling, and then there's times where we agree. Very much similar, probably, opinions on Elly De La Cruz, and there's times where we disagree on probably, the overall outlook of what this team is, and I think that from my perspective, right now, as we'll jump into the box score recap here in general, is that there's just so many unknowns that it becomes at some point frustrating, and I think that's where we've kind of sat and dwelled. Since we started the show, which had been, I guess we're in year 3 now. So, maybe that's just part of it, being a part of a franchise or rooting for a franchise that is the size of ours. I know people hate using the term small market. I don't mean to use that term. I don't mean it as a degrading. I'm not saying that you can't win with the market size that the Reds have, but I guess I'm starting to realize, or I'm starting to feel as if, at least in Cincinnati, that the only consistent thing that you can kind of lean on is the inconsistency of what this team will look like from time to time. So we'll jump into all that and more, but before we do that, we'll get a little brief, quick box score recap presented by yours truly, Nick Kirby. Nick, take it away, man.
Well, today's box score recap is presented by Grok3. I just did the AI recap.
Love that.
That's what you're getting today on Mother's Day. I decided I would spend those extra 10 minutes I spent on the recap trying to be a decent husband.
I love this. Right, I hope this thing's fantastic, by the way, and you should use it every game if it's actually accurate.
Well, there's only one mistake, and I'm just gonna read it because it's kind of funny. All right, the Cincinnati Reds fell 6-0 to the Houston Astros on May 11th, 2025, and I only did 100 words, so let me say that to spare you. On May 11th, 2025, dropping to 20-22. The Reds' offense was stifled, mustering just 2 hits, doubles by Spencer Steer and Jose Trevino, against Astros pitcher Ronel Blanco, who struck out 11 in 8 innings. Starter Chase Petty struggled. He surrendered 4 runs in 3 innings, including a 3-run home run to Yainer Diaz. The Reds' bullpen, led by Hunter Harvey, limited further damage, but the offense could rally. Despite the loss, Steer's double extended his hitting streak, offering a lone bright spot. Doesn't tell me how long the streak is, but Spencer Steer has a hitting streak. I'm going to do some digging now.
Well, who knows, man? Grok's a fan of Spencer Steer. Maybe he's got the rift of the fan base. Big fans. I do know this, though. We're big fans of DSC, and they like deep drives of the day, and it came off the bat of the number 7th ranked prospect catcher, Alfredo Duno. Kind of a big fella if you haven't seen him. I like the build of Alfredo Duno. He hit his 4th home run of the season for Low A Daytona. What's wrong with that, Nick? I kind of like that. DSC, though, they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. What?
Spencer Steer's hit streak is 1 game today.
Yeah, I mean, he's got it going. He
was the only guy who didn't get hit on Saturday. Now, I think about it.
Right. Yeah.
So
no, I
so
remember.
don't trust old Grok with any really important documents or anything.
Yeah, well, he's already burned me once. Grok burned me on the fact that I think I specifically asked him if they accounted for something in the analytics. I forget what it was, and obviously that wasn't true. So that was the last time that I really just went all in on Mr. Grok. At some point, that AI will probably be just as smart as the rest of us. But for now, it's not there yet. So, I guess where do you start? You'll start with the series loss. It's at this point frustrating that it keeps being brought up, but I understand why it keeps being brought up. The idea that you can go this many series in a row, we're at 20 now, 21 I think at this point, where when you lose the opening game of a series, you're incapable of winning it. Bad baseball teams, really bad baseball teams at Nick, at some point would have done this. I don't know what it is. I don't know why this continues to happen. I'm sure that someone's going to offer up some semblance of a reason. I will say that when you don't have a great team, it makes it a little more comprehensible as to how you could do it. But I was hoping today would be the day, and it just wasn't. And it wasn't even really close, to your credit, Nick.
Do you know who has accomplished that feat 3 times this season? The Colorado Rockies. They've won 7 games. 3 of them have been the final game of the series, and obviously they lost the first game. They've only won 7.
Right.
I don't know. Again, like I'm sure some people will view that as, oh my God, it's some of it's just horrible luck. If the Rockies have done it 3 times this year, that's just so wild.
Yeah, I felt like I felt like today the offense, I don't want to say thankfully scored 0 runs, because at this point it's so frustrating to watch. It's just miserable watching them offensively more times than not. But having said that, if they would have put up 4 or 5 runs today, Nick, I think the storyline would have been the unfortunate length that the starters have gone over the last, call it, week or so. Our bullpen was absolutely spent. I think Terry Francona even mentioned in the post-game kind of interviews that he apologized to some of the guys because he felt like he just overused them, and he knew that he overused them, and that is certainly a distinct difference between, I think, that the way in which perhaps Francona looks and feels about certain bullpen usage and what Bell did, if people want to start drawing narratives to what the difference looks like. And I'm not suggesting that Bell was the world's worst, but I am saying that David Bell, at least for Fernando Cruz last year, he went to that well very often. So what that means moving forward, I don't know, but I just know that ultimately we're about to find out over the next few weeks, in my opinion, Nick, if this team is at least some team that's serviceable to watch for the rest of this season. I'm not going to make any proclamations that they're going to be even in the hunt, if they're going to make the postseason. None of that. I think we're so far from that right now that it's not even a distinct conversation to have. But I don't think that they're dead either. I could understand why people think that sometimes, but, they've not played any really division lead. They have not played the Cubs yet, right? So, they theoretically, I'm throwing out some crazy stuff here, but they theoretically could sweep the Cubs this season, and that would completely drastically change the outlook of everything. They could also get swept by the Cubs, to be fair, and that would also drastically change what this season looks like. So when I say that, I'm just using one team as an example here, let alone that it's May 11th. I just can't give up on it all yet. I'm not there. I'll openly admit this offense sucks. So if you want me to say that and make you feel better, I will. I don't think they're very good. I think at some point we got to think about what you do in the 2 and 3 hole. I'm not suggesting that those 2 guys are people to worry about, Nick, but I'm also not just going to keep penciling guys into the same exact spot in the lineup over and over again if they continue to not showcase what they've showcased before. If nothing else, just from a psychological factor, Nick, of moving around the lineup. So I guess that'll lead us into the Reds offense. It's another shutout. I think I put out the stat the other day, Nick, that in the live ball era, The team that had the most one-run performances and or shutouts in a season was 37. They were on pace for 41 2 nights ago. I would suspect that number has even jumped higher than 41 now, considering they just did it in what was the last 3 games. They've done it twice. I guess where are you at, and how do you feel about it?
I don't know, man. I really don't know. I'm sorry, I don't have a great answer. I don't think this offense is atrocious. I don't think this offense is the 8th best offense in baseball, which is where they're at in runs scored. But I don't think they are the 20th best offense in baseball either. I think they're probably somewhere in the middle there. I really would encourage people, don't take my word for it. Go to MLB.com, hit the team stats, and look at some of these team stats numbers. Like, look at some of these teams' OPS, like the Atlanta Braves and the Houston Astros and the Minnesota Twins and the Toronto Blue Jays and the Tampa Bay Rays and the Baltimore. Look at their team offensive numbers. They are atrocious, and those were all contenders this year. Now, the Reds have obviously been the most extreme version of extremes this season, and I hope that's some bad luck. I don't know. I don't think these guys are trying harder on certain days than the other, right? Like it's not like the Reds have a lineup full of Jamer Candelarios and Mike Moustakas that have collected their life earnings and they're they check in certain days. Like almost every single player, even Austin Hayes, I mean, every at-bat is so important to him because he has millions and millions of dollars on the line. Just forget about the whole, trying to play baseball and win games. These guys have millions of dollars on the line. And it kind of goes more into the whole like criticizing Ellie and why, people keep saying to me, why are you not crushing Ellie like you crush Steer? And for me, I'm not crushing Spencer Steer. And I'm not crushing Spencer Steer's effort. Like, I think Spencer Steer is giving every ounce of effort he has. I've seen nothing at any point that makes me go, man, I think Spencer Steer's dogging it right now. I never saw that. It's more the opportunities that he continues to get. And that's almost all these players on this roster. It's just, I don't have any reason to question their effort. Do you have any reason to question their effort? Because I don't. I just think they're, I don't know, some of them, and maybe Ellie's case, they're too far in their own head. In some of these guys' cases, they're just not very good, and they've been put in the wrong spot. That's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing.
I think very rarely I would put it under 1%. And I know people might think I'm crazy for saying this. I would put it under 1% about the amount of major league players in general that don't give 100% effort. I mean, there's a chance that guys, as they get later in their career, they've had some success, they're just kind of over it, and they're there because they have to be there type thing. You've heard that through Rendon, and you've heard that through some other guys. I would even say Javi Baez at times probably played that way. But the reality is that's not the issue. That's not the issue with this lineup. The issue is obviously either one of a couple things. One, baseball is very, very hard. There are times where you're going to struggle. Every player in Major League history at some point has struggled along the way. Some obviously more than others, but I would say that's part of it. The other part of it is just a lack of talent. I think that, truth be told, we got a lot of marginal offensive players that are in this lineup that we're hoping will overperform. The scary part for me, Nick, I guess, when you take a step back from it and you try to say, okay, I'm not trying to be overly pessimistic. I'm just saying, can we be somewhat realistic with this? If you were to try to cherry pick some of the positive things, then let's just ultimately cherry pick some of the more negative things, which would be if you didn't get the production out of two guys that you never thought probably you'd ever get production from the start of this year at the catcher position specifically with Trevino and Wins. I don't know what this lineup looks like because those two guys have been unbelievably good. You might as well consider us having the best catcher, the everyday catcher in the entire league when you take both of those guys combined and you put them back there behind home plate. That's number one. Number two is there's really no one else on this offense that, from a lineup perspective, that I would be betting a significant amount of money that they are above average hitters 2 or 3 years in a row. And I I'm not saying that they don't have anybody, right? I'm just saying that it's not like they have somebody in this lineup that I'm like, you know what, no matter what happens, like Joey Votto, no matter what happens, I know damn well that by the end of this season, they're going to be 115 to 120 or higher WRC plus. I don't, for those who wonder, like 20% better than league average. I don't know if I have that. And that includes Ellie as well, to be very clear. Like, I think Ellie has a high ceiling, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Ellie's floor is significantly better than league average from a hitting perspective. You go up and down this lineup, folks, and it doesn't take you long to start to realize why this team struggles. And it's not because they don't care, Nick. I think it's just because they're not good enough at this very moment. And I'm still fighting the battle of, is this who they are, or is this just a tough stretch of baseball throughout the season? Because the same way you are promoting or hoping people will go to MiLB.com and look at some of the statistics on the offense, I will just say, hey, you can go back and look at the Arizona Diamondbacks not that long ago when they were in the World Series. That same year, they came out and played a month worth of baseball that was very bad. Very, very bad. And then they got hot. So I guess all I'm trying to say is, like, offensively, if I take this team from April 11th to May 11th, I'm probably not going to like what I see, but maybe this isn't totally the true picture. The opposite side, though, Nick, is clearly going to be, you take out the Trevino and wins, and you say, hey, you take out the 2 or 3 games where they score 24 runs, 14 runs. And I know that's not fair totally, but those are only worth 3 wins. But it amasses out to be such a large part of statistically what they've offensively done that it's just not a fair comparison to say, oh, look how many runs they've scored, or look at their stats overall. When in reality, that helped them win like 3 games. The remainder of their stats are absolutely abysmal. And the starting pitching has saved this team more times than not. Offensively, I just don't know what to make of it yet. I'm trying not to make a big deal about it this early in the season because, we've done this long enough now to know that May 11th, it's hard to really know what you have totally.
Yeah, it's not trending in the right way by any stretch of the imagination. There's a lot of bad trends, but there's a lot of time still to correct those trends. And we'll see. I mean, the Reds have a great opportunity. That's what I'll call it over the next 9 games to get back on track. And then they have an even bigger opportunity to get hot at the right time and completely flip the entire narrative of this season. But yeah, like you mentioned, they got 6 games against the Cubs in like a 10-day stretch. I mean, you go 5-1 against the Cubs. People might think that's crazy, but I remember the Reds sweeping the Yankees and Dodgers last year, and the Reds weren't very good last year. So it's possible. But you could also go 0-6 and pretty much your season's tanked. So we'll have we're not going to have the perfect picture, but in about 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, we're going to have a better picture of really where this team is headed, or if this team has a chance is probably the better way of saying it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I guess there are people that think that this team's quit. I'm not there. I don't believe in that. I don't see how you could even come up with the suggestion that they've quit. When things are not going your way, it's hard to be like cheerful. It's hard to be like fired up and happy. I mean, when you're not scoring runs, what do you want them to do? I mean, I'm not. I get as animated and as passionate as most people do here. I'm just openly saying, like, it's hard to get excited when things aren't going well. And at some point when things go well, the passion or the energy that you're looking for will probably be a little more showcased. They need a spark. They need a spark. And I hate to say it like this, but they need Ellie. They need Ellie. And I mean, there's some other guys, McLean, but they need something that maybe at this point I'm starting to wonder if it's realistic to ask for. But people look back on that 12-game winning streak, and like I think a large part of that was a little fortune. Like they caught some breaks, they won some games they probably weren't supposed to win, but they also caught a heater in Ellie De La Cruz.
I think it's insane to think that like these guys are quitting or this offense isn't like doing just about everything they can to be. Look at the roster. Every single player. I don't think there's a single player on this roster that has guaranteed money beyond next season. Like, these guys have millions and millions of dollars on the line. I don't know what more motivation you could have than that. Regardless, throw the whole team aside. Like, these guys are playing for their lifetime wealth right now. I don't buy that at all. And I just haven't. Give me a prime example. Like someone send me this at bat in this spot. This guy clearly wasn't trying. Please send me. I would love to see it. I love to review the tape. I have MLB TV. I'll check it out. I just haven't seen it. I've just seen guys that are just not playing well.
Yeah, they're not good baseball players, which is a
combination of both. There's guys that are playing well and not good baseball players.
I would you want to hear something even maybe perhaps people think, well, again, there goes Trey saying stupid stuff. I think the easier fix is if they didn't care. Like, that'd be easier. Like, if there's a way we could maybe bring in some donuts and cheer everybody up and say, hey guys, go play harder for us. I think that would be one hell of a opportunity that we would be presented with. So if you're upset about that, I would say you're more optimistic than maybe even I am about this team. I'm just thinking that we aren't good. I'm thinking we don't have good Major League Baseball players. And that doesn't mean that I don't think that some of these younger guys can end up being good. It's just that the reason that we were excited in 2023 is because, yes, this team got ultimately hot. And the real reason I was excited is because a lot of the things that stopped them from making the postseason in 2023 were non-existent towards the end of the year, right? Like, if Ellie and McLean and obviously maybe I'll throw CES in there, why not? If they were up at the very beginning of the year of 2023 when they were not very good and they dug themselves a humongous hole, then maybe I would have been like kind of ho-hum, not as excited. But that's not what happened. They dug themselves a huge hole, and then all of a sudden these young kids come up kind of out of desperation, and then all of a sudden like it just a switch hit where these guys look like they don't give a damn what franchise they're playing for. They don't care that somebody told them that they were supposed to lose. They're just coming up here and they're playing every single day, and it looks like they're having fun and they're competing like they want to win. The most damning part about all of this is that we now sit in 2025, and the truth be told is there's only one guy that everybody wants to pick on that I actually think is still holding up his end of that bargain. Is like Marte has not been that guy. Matt McLean has not been that guy. CES has not been that guy. And Ellie has not played up to a standard, but at least the damn guy's there, and he's being somewhat serviceable. That's the problem. You cannot convince me that CES and Marte aren't part of the big picture problem here as to why this isn't exciting the way that it was back then. You add in the fact that they bring in Candelario, he's nothing. Steer, not what he was back when we were excited. So there's clear evidence as to why we feel the way we feel. But the idea that they're not trying is just that seems to be just to me, like kind of an excuse to maybe ultimately not face the real problem, which is you're just not good enough. I mean, and we'll find out. We'll find out. I'm not there to say it yet, Nick. I'm not going to say we're not good enough yet, but I'll openly admit it's trending that way. It's certainly trending that way.
Do you have any take on Chris Faleka? Because, man, he's such a lightning rod.
I know.
An easy target right now.
Yeah.
How many hitting coaches are liked in baseball? That's where you start. Not many, especially when you're struggling. I mean,
yeah.
Like,
I don't think that there's anyone that's ever played baseball in their life, Nick, that's played it at even a reasonably high level, that would even entertain the thought that Chris Faleka is the reason as to why these guys are struggling the way they are. Do I think that there's a chance that there could be a message presented inside of the clubhouse that for whatever reason has not resonated well and it's caused some tension and some turmoil? That's possible. That's possible. But I guess I'll ultimately throw the ultimate hypothetical out there, Nick, if we can. If you put Valaika on the NL All-Star or the AL All-Star team and they got to play the rest of the regular season, I guess I'm openly saying, do you think that they wouldn't be like the league leaders again? Like if somehow, hypothetically speaking, Valaika went and he became the hitting coach for the Dodgers, do you really think the Dodgers would lose a step? Like, we can make excuses for these guys all we want. And am I suggesting for a single second that he hasn't maybe some semblance of the problem? Maybe. But he's a scapegoat more than anything. He's a scapegoat. And if you want to use Valaika as the reason as to why these guys aren't performing the way that you want them to, go ahead. But I mean, I know this. It's never been something in baseball circles of kind of like it does at least bring up a point of why are they even there in the first place if they don't matter at all. And trust me, I have always wondered why in the hell a professional baseball team has 30 coaches or whatever the hell they got down there. Because I got news for you. There's only maybe a handful of guys that would actually trust anyone on the staff. They got their own personal people, Nick. Like, with all due respect, a lot of these players, they got their own personal hitting coaches or their own personal kind of mentors or their sports psychologists. They're not turning to the hitting coach to ask them what they're supposed to do tomorrow. And I know that's going to piss some people off about what I said, but that's how I feel about it.
Well, you have to give like a little bit longer of a leash than to May 11th before you have any sort of definitive thing. I don't know. People made a lot about the line drive approach and not trying to hit for power. And yep. I'm just like the Cleveland Guardians last year, I think were like 14th in home runs and they were 30th the year before. It didn't seem to impact Josh Naylor or Jose Ramirez's power. He didn't seem to, ruin those guys. So I don't know. It just seems like it's such an easy target that I don't know. I need to see more before I have any sort of even remotely lukewarm take on if he is anywhere near to the problem. And Matt McClain did bunt today, and I'm sure that pissed off a lot of people. I didn't have an issue with it. I don't have an issue if you're bunting for a hit. He was bunting for a hit. I mean, you can help yourself by if you just do that a couple times throughout the. I don't want Matt McClain going up there and bunting every night or 5 times a week or 3 times a week even. But occasionally doing that, if that's part of your arsenal, like it makes the fielders readjust and creates additional holes for you. So again, if that ball had just been either deadened a little bit more or a little bit maybe towards the line. Third base line, he gets a base hit out of it. So I didn't have an issue with that. But I know I'm like that's probably my biggest like anti-sabermetrics take is that I have no problem with people bunting for hits in those kind of spots.
Especially when you can't know how they're feeling, right? I think that there are times where you take a little more of a conservative approach when you do something if you don't feel confident in whatever you're doing, right? And I think that's
pretty confident.
No. I don't mean bunting. I mean just like he's clearly not seeing the ball well hitting wise. Like, I know you hit a home run the other night, but just in general, sometimes you're like, you know what? I'm going to try to take whatever they give me. And if this third baseman is going to play this far back, they're basically giving me a free hit if I'm able to execute the bunt. If you don't execute the bunt, then obviously you look like an idiot. If you execute the bunt, Nick, it looks perfect. TJ Friedel's done that how many times? And I've tried to defend TJ Friedel trying to bunt for base hits. He did it earlier in the season, if you don't remember, in a spot where it was kind of late in the game, 9th inning. He had, I think it was a 1st and 3rd situation, and he's trying to bunt for a base hit. It doesn't work out. Everybody's screaming and yelling about how stupid bunting is. And I guess I'm openly saying like 3 weeks later, TJ Friedel did the exact same thing in the exact same type of situation. The score was different, so nobody cared as much. But he got a base hit, and everybody's like, oh, that's such a smart play. I mean, you can't let results always dictate the way you feel about something. And I kind of feel the same way with you. Do I want Matt McClain bunting all the time? Of course not. I don't think that that's probably the path to success, but I'm not going to fault a player for trying to bunt for a hit. If you're sacrificing guys and you're trying to move guys over, all right, then we can have a problem with that.
Down 3 runs definitely would be a problem.
Yeah, we can have a problem with that, obviously. All right, we have game time, and we got some supers on the back end of this that I think get us into some more fun banter and discussion. Game time, if you're looking for tickets in the near future or perhaps looking to go to a concert that obviously requires tickets. I know the NFL schedule release is coming up this week. I'm excited to see kind of where maybe the Bengals ultimately will have some road games. Maybe there'll be some teams that are coming in outside of the division that you're interested in seeing. And there's no better place to turn to than the Game Time app. It's the official ticketing partner of Chatterbox Reds. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the code CBOX. That's CBOX. You can get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Like I've said many of times, it's a very, very intuitive app. Good user interface. Ultimately, you can see wherever the tickets are. It's got a little value meter on them. Got the ability to kind of put all-in pricing, so you don't have to worry about what it looks like as you get to the checkout. And more importantly, you can use the code CBOX, CBOX. You can get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. You can download the app right now if you wanted to. Just have it on your phone. Use the code, and it puts the promo code kind of voucher or money in there. So whenever you're ready to go, it's already done. You don't have to remember what that code is when you're trying to last-minute shop, which you can do on the Game Time app. As always, 988, text and or call day or night. It's okay to not be okay. Mantherapy.org is also a good place to start. Can't obviously stress that enough. So 988, please always remember it's a lifeline you can use 24/7. Ned Flanders, I think he does a good job here of getting us into our next discussion.
Maybe we should just ask him to write a rundown every
Yeah,
day.
he could. I like it. He says, at a time when we're trying to avoid another May slump or collapses, he says, is it wise to give more starts to Chase Petty? No better options? Are there no better options? There are better options, yes. I have a very strong opinion that there's a better option. I don't know if that option is the wise option to make, largely because of options. Service time, I guess, would be the term to use. I've said this how long? I said this when they drafted him, Nick. I'm not trying to get into a huge debate over this. I don't want anyone to think that I know that this is the right move. I just know for a matter of a fact that if it was up to me and the Reds were playing meaningful baseball games that were winner take all and they had some worth to them, Chase Petty's not the guy that I'm bringing up here to throw, and his name instead is Chase Burns. Now, I will openly admit that I don't know if that adds up and looks the right way when it comes to service time and you want to bring a guy up. I don't know, again, what the plan and the vision is for Burns, but I think he's MLB ready. I thought he was MLB ready when he got drafted, at least from a bullpen perspective, and I'm not suggesting for a single second from a development perspective that you just automatically rush him up here, you throw him in the bullpen just because he can do it. But I believe in his stuff, and I believe in the pitcher that he is more than anybody else that they throw in these rankings. I would even put him, and I know Rhett Lauder. I know for a fact that Rhett Lauder has thrown the ball well at the major league level already. But I think Chase Burns is basically right there with Rhett Lauder personally. I do. That's how high I am on Chase Burns. He has been an absolute stud every step of the way. Not a single moment has gone by in his baseball career where he has not dominated. And I think that he will continue to do that, obviously to a lesser extent at the major league level, Nick. But I also will openly admit I don't think I like the idea of burning him in a year in which I don't really know if I believe in anything other than the offense, which he has nothing to do with, to come up. So, are there better options? I think there are. Does it mean I think I would use those options? I'm saying I probably wouldn't because I don't think the offensive good, if that all adds up and makes sense.
I don't know if I'd worry too much about the option with him because we are already past that 3 week or whatever. Window. Yeah, we're past that. I also am much less inclined to really worry about that as much with pitchers than position players, just because you can chase that and guys get hurt, and it's you know what I mean. It really doesn't seem like it's all beneficial. I would have no issue whatsoever if the Reds decided to call up Chase Burns. I'd be all for it. I also don't know if necessarily it would have lined up because he was scheduled to start the day after Hunter got hurt, and they may not have wanted to like kind of mess up his routine with that. That's maybe I'm just throwing that as a possibility. I don't know. But I'm not going to crush them for not calling him up either yet. Like, I'm kind of in the middle on this. I don't have a big strong take, but I would have no problem with that. I'm excited as hell about it. I also wonder, too, if they're worried about... And I guess it's kind of stupid, though. The more I think about it, worried, like, you call him up, he dominates, then what do you do? I mean, I would kind of say, well, figure it out. Like, so
right.
Gets... Sorry.
Yeah, I obviously we're past that window of the service time. I think we even got into that argument with Matt McClain back in... what was it, basically 2 years ago when they were debating on whether or not to bring him up. Clearly, that's the other thing, too. People have even debated that you bring him up before that window just so you have a chance to get the compensation pick if he finishes top, but I just think that's a far-fetched stretch. I don't. I guess
they have to be on the opening day roster for the comp pick.
Yes. So. But that ain't going to happen, obviously, with Burns. I don't know. I guess I would be a lot more passionate about this topic if I felt like this offense was worthy of getting excited. I'm just not there, Nick. I have a hard time to do that. I feel it feels like to me that we're sitting here, we're going to debate something that really isn't the issue with this baseball team. And I know that Chase Petty hasn't thrown the ball well, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Chase Petty can't kind of get to a place where he's also serviceable at a major league level. But if you're asking me who the better pitcher is, it's going to be Burns, in my opinion. I would also say to you, like, if Burns comes here and dominates, then yeah, you figure it out. That's not a problem.
Sorry.
No,
sorry,
yeah,
the odd man out is.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick Martinez. You're just gonna have to collect your paycheck in the bullpen until someone else gets hurt.
Correct, and that's more than fine, right? I think that if you're a Reds fan, would you rather sit here and be able to justify paying Nick Martinez the $20 whatever million it is, 21? Because he's a starter, or would you rather have him get pushed to the bullpen because you just have younger guys that are better than he is, and you could say, well, maybe we didn't get the full value out of him. All right, who cares? I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to make the best baseball team there is. Who really cares about whether or not you got the most money out of somebody based off what they've done and what areas they've covered?
I do also, I'll just throw this out there. If there was one thing right now that this organization may deserve a little bit of the benefit of the doubt on, it would be when they've called up starting pitchers and how they've handled it, because Andrew Abbott's worked out pretty well. Yeah. Rhett Lauder, obviously, they waited last year. He looked really good when he came up. So, again, that's why I'm not going to be like, call him up. Why are you not calling him up? Because if they have a certain plan and they really believe in it and they want to stick to it, I'm not going to fault him for it. But at the same time, I have no reservations at all about calling him up now.
Yeah, I'd call him up then at this point. I'd call him up at this point. Based off of the fact that I see the 172 days, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm with you, too. Like, let's be very clear about something that I think you had said that I would like to hit on really quickly. I do think for a guy like Chase Burns, the service time thing is probably not even as big of a deal as I would make it out to be or anyone else would make it out to be, largely because of the way that he goes about his business. There's a shelf life there. I'm not trying to be overly pessimistic. I'm not trying to wish it upon anybody. I'm just saying, like, let's look at the facts. Let's look around Major League Baseball. Let's use our brain, and let's ask ourselves, how many times does these guys go without having any issues at all over an extended period of time that throw the way that this person throws? And the truth is it's not going to be the time frame that you'd like it to be. It's going to be shorter than that. So very much like at least in my opinion, I don't want to make it sound like too overly ridiculous, but there's a ticking time frame here that probably is going to wind up having some semblance of an issue at some point when you throw the ball that damn hard. Use them. I'd rather him put in innings for the Cincinnati Reds and have him dominate with the Cincinnati Reds than to sit here and be careful and him dominate for the lookouts or the bats. So whether or not he's ready or not, I'll leave it up to them, Nick. They have had some success with younger pitchers before, but I really do feel, as I've said before, that he's probably somebody that I would lean on in a big, big spot before any of these other younger kind of guys. And I would put Louder right there with him. I really would. Doesn't mean Louder doesn't deserve another chance just because he got hurt. Clearly, he's going to get that chance, and he's been incredible when he was here. But I still will openly say, we'll see if I'm right or wrong. I still think Burns is better. I just do. And I know also, can I point up one other thing? Like, I know that there's we get some crazy, trying to be nice, we get some crazy thoughts sometimes with what we do. People send messages on kind of X, and, you know, the fact that these guys drafted Burns second overall and they have an offensive situation or a lack of offense as we've seen it, just because the Reds would have gone out and gotten a hitter in that spot wouldn't have fixed anything. Also, everybody always wants to use guys that have been unbelievably successful in the big leagues on who they would have drafted. Really? Are we going to go down that path? Because we all know that Charlie Condon was the guy that was supposed to be picked, Nick. Like,
do you need me to read the stats?
If you want to read them, you can. But before you read them, let me say this. Let's not use Cags. Let's not use Langford. Let's stop. Let's not use these guys that are 100% successful in the Major League Baseball right now because you can say, well, they should have gotten a guy like that. That's easy to do. That's easy to do. What you don't want to say is that Charlie, is it Condon, I think? Charlie Condon, however the hell you say it, the kid out of Georgia that obviously was supposed to be the number 2 pick, was possibly going to be a number 1 pick, blah, 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 blah. Bazana obviously was the number 1 pick, and then they had an opportunity to take Condon, and they didn't. They took Burns. And everybody wants to say, well, they should have got a hitter, Nobody wants to bring up Charlie Condon. Charlie Condon was the pick for the Reds. So this is Charlie Condon. Nick, go ahead.
He has played in 31 minor league games, hitting 188, 258 on base percentage, 282 slugging. It's a 540 OPS. And Travis Bazana, who again, both these guys still have plenty of time, but they're not going to be helping a big league team anytime soon either.
Correct.
Bazana hitting so far in 58 games, 244, 356 on base percentage, 769 OPS. He has not gone above Double-A. Condon has not gone above High A yet.
I just
draft the best player every time.
Everyone always wants to point to the guy who's already in the big leagues and is already having success, but they don't want to say this is who the Reds would have picked.
All the Reds draft dudes were against those guys too. They were like, they were like, don't draft this guy. This guy's terrible. Like, yeah, no.
And that's my point. Now you're going to say, well, now do Cags. Now Sean Connor, Nick Kurtz is already in the big leagues. Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really easy to do that when they're already there and having success. Like, it's really easy to do that. But they chose Chase Burns. Point is like you're choosing and picking your fights after you've already seen the result. I mean, you're picking up yesterday's newspaper and you're saying about, like, look at the parlay you should have taken. I mean, yeah.
And Chase Burns has been really damn good, too. Like, as good as you possibly could have really hoped for to this point. Like, come on, what are we doing?
Yeah, you know, it feels like you have a 10-leg parlay that you know you should have never taken, and you got 9 legs that hit, Nick, and you're watching the last leg in, like, the second half, and some kid walks up to you and was like, and you're getting ready to lose the last leg, and some kid's like, hey, you know, you should have picked them. Of course they were going to win. You should have picked them. It's like, okay, kid. Like, what about
drafted Mike? You know, we should crush the Reds every day because they didn't draft Mike Trout. Like, even though the Angels passed on him with their first pick that year.
Yeah, it's just, I'm not trying to defend the organization and saying that they deserve every bit of grace. This franchise has not been good for a long time. No one needs to say that. We all know it. I'm just going to openly say that it's hard for me to sit here and try to defend them or go against them because they decided to take Chase Burns. Like, I guess here okay. If we are trying to fix the major league problems by top draft picks from last year and maybe even the year before, and I would even say even 3 years before that, then you have a real problem. You have a problem that started 5 years ago. You have a problem that started 6, 7, 8 years ago. You can't try to sit here and say, well, let's fix all the problems from last year's draft picks. That's not how this works. You know, like that's what bad organizations do. In fact, I would argue that clearly it doesn't happen all that often, but more times than not, NFL franchises who have a very good chance of trying to be much better at picking guys because they have a much better draft system, in my opinion, in regards to the success rate on top level draft picks. But my point is that most bad organizations draft a quarterback and they throw him to the wolves, and then all of a sudden they're terrible and they go right back into this whole rinse and repeat cycle. It's like, we might be a bad organization, but I'm not going to sit here and be convinced that we're a bad organization because we didn't take a hitter in last year's draft to fix this offense that currently has Santiago Espinal, Trevino, and I guess now Connor Joe. We will transition to here just really quickly. I want to get your thoughts on him. But we have Connor Joe now in the lineup, and supposedly one pick was supposed to fix all of that. Spare me. Please, spare me. We didn't really get into it. It's not on the rundown, but we haven't really been on since obviously Connor Joe entered the lineup. Reds pick him up. What do you make of it, if anything?
I mean, he's a perfectly fine bench guy. I mean, I know he had a nice night on Saturday, but I don't really like him starting over Hines. I get why they're not playing Benson and Hines in the same game because they don't want, both of those guys with their high strikeout. But I'd rather just sink and swim with Hines and Benson if than Connor Joe. But Connor Joe's a fine pickup. Like, he can play multiple positions. He filled a need. There's not really anything more to that than him. Like, I like people. Why would the Reds do this? They're trying to like pull it over. Like, I don't think the Reds are trying to pull it over. I think they just wanted someone that can use a first baseman's mitt and won't get embarrassed out there. I think that's really all it was. It's nothing more, nothing less than that.
All right, fair enough. Reds bullpen, we had discussed it maybe very briefly here at the beginning of the show, but they were obviously spent. Didn't have, I guess at this point, I'm just giving an open blanket pass to the staff as a whole. Even Brady Singer the other night obviously didn't have his best stuff. You throw the bullpen to the Wolves. They find a way to help kind of win that game. I know it wasn't as pretty, but I thought Ashcraft came in and got some massive outs. And they were able to hold on and win. And obviously today, never really felt like they were in it. But the bullpen had to come in early again and kind of, muscle through the rest of the game, even though it didn't matter as they wind up getting shut out. But any kind of thoughts here for the bullpen before we jump into the farm?
Yeah, they only gave up one earned run over 6 innings today. Lyon Richardson has been awesome. What a cool story. And I like that the Reds have rewarded him by not shuttling him back and forth. I like that. And it feels like he's embracing that too. Taylor Rogers struck out 3 batters today. That's encouraging. In terms of that. And Brent Suter, just another perfect inning from him.
I know.
This dude, I guess just on Chase Petty, there was definitely some small encouraging signs. Not anything you want to throw a parade over, but obviously his command was just terrible today. And I'm sure a lot of that was because he got absolutely destroyed his first time. He's trying to be too fine, doesn't want to go out and get crushed, but definitely, he was able to showcase the talent. You could at least see the talent today, and you could see the vision with him that you couldn't see at all in the first start. So I hope he's able to sort of build off this. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have any take on them not throwing Abbott today and Petty? There's 2 things that come to mind. Number one is this is like the second time when the Reds have had an opportunity, they pushed Abbott back.
Yeah.
So I think there's something to that where they feel like him wearing down, which you would understand why. He has worn down both the last 2 years. I think that's probably a part of it. I also almost wonder, people aren't going to like this. I don't know how much I hate it if the Reds said, you know what, we'll throw Petty against the Astros. We'll kind of take our chances, and we're going to throw Abbott on Tuesday against the White Sox because we feel really good about that. Whereas, you know, Abbott could go out and pitch really great against the Astros. We still lose that game. And then Petty doesn't walk 6 batters against the White Sox, and we give away a game to the White Sox. Now, Abbott could lose. The Reds could lose on Tuesday. Don't get me wrong. But I almost wonder if they were kind of going more for broke. And I don't know how much I hate that.
Yeah, you're basically suggesting that hey, let's go ahead and try to maybe put our best foot forward when we're playing a team that we're probably supposed to win, versus trying to run a guy out there that we have already a bullpen that's a little spent. You add on the fact that maybe they didn't like the matchup today, and if that's the case, they would have been right. The Reds scored 0 runs. The Reds scoring 0 runs today makes it to where this game, to me, I have a lot of apathy towards. I guess I just don't care. Like, they didn't win this game. They're not going to win this game. You can't win this game with 0 runs. And I've sat here and we've talked about the Reds offense so much and the lack of their ability to be even what I would call entertaining. Hell, if they're good, just entertaining at times. They're not fun to watch. I'm done doing it. Like I feel like it's so like demoralizing to talk about this offense that it just puts you down into a place that you don't want to go as a Reds fan, and it gets to the point where you're just like, I don't want to watch because it feels like I've already seen this before, and it becomes overly frustrating to continue to do it. So I guess they picked their spot perfectly, to be honest, Nick, because they could have thrown Nolan Ryan today and they would have lost. So if that's what they're thinking, sure be it. But the opposite argument could be that you give Chase Petty an opportunity to throw against a team that's, not very good, and, you get him on the right foot as well. But I also understand that, he may go out there, be nervous, have command issues, not throw the ball well, or they don't think that Petty's perhaps in a spot where he could still get hit by the White Sox. So I think that they do that, though, Nick. Yes. The only time they have not done that, that really was disheartening was the Sunday in Oakland, when they decided they were going to sit their entire roster so they could be rested up for the San Diego Padres, and they would proceed. By the way, if anybody needs to be reminded, they would proceed to get swept while half their roster sat out against the absolute abysmal franchise that is the Oakland Athletics. No longer a thing.
Yeah.
Bullpen was good. Guess we'll do Reds in MiLB, talk about what's happening next, and we'll see whether or not people will believe us that it's still worth to tune into. I guess that's probably the next goal.
All right. Reds in MiLB. The Louisville Bats, they won 4-3 over the Louisville Bats, 19-19 now in the season. Blake Dunn, 0-for-5, 0-for-9 since being optioned. Hurtaby's 0-for-3 with a walk. Connor Phillips made his first appearance at AAA. Didn't go well. Walked 2 batters. He had 2 hits, 3 runs. Only threw 10 of his 28 pitches for strikes. He would have been with the Dragons on a rehab assignment. It now seems very crystal clear that the Reds are trying to make Connor Phillips a reliever, and I think that's the right decision, but clearly he's probably still a little ways away. Sam Moll, 3rd straight appearance for him where he has not allowed a run, 5 strikeouts and no walks for his last 3 appearances. So that's good to see. Ian Jabot threw a perfect inning with 2 strikeouts in his first rehab appearance. And Alexis Diaz, perfect inning, struck out the side through 10 of his 12 pitches for strikes. Diaz is being optioned. 4 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Lenny Torres Jr., 2/3 of an inning as well. Didn't give up a run. All right, tough day for the Chattanooga Lookouts. They got swept in a doubleheader by Knoxville, 9-2 and 5-0. Lookouts have lost 3 straight. They now actually trail Knoxville by a half game for first place. Sal Stewart, 2-for-7 on the day. Edwin Arroyo, 1-for-4. Hector Rodriguez, 1-for-6, but did walk 3 times. It's really good to see. Rodriguez did not walk a whole lot last year, so his plate discipline has drastically improved. Tough days for Ethan O'Donnell, 0 for 6, and Dominic Patelli, 0 for 7. But Austin Hendrick,
nice.
2 doubles and a walk. He had the only 2 extra base hits on the entire day for the Chattanooga Lookouts. Jose Franco gave up 2 runs over 4 innings. Hunter Parks, who's been really good, tough day for him, gave up 3 runs over 3 innings. Dayton Dragons, their struggles continue. They lose 7-3 to Great Lakes, now 11-22 on the season. Rhett Lauder made his first appearance with Dayton, had made 1 over in the Arizona Complex League. The line doesn't look great. 3 innings, 5 hits, 5 runs, 4 of them earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. I was actually watching a little bit of this. He didn't give up an extra base hit. There were several balls that just kind of found a hole, so I don't think he was necessarily terrible. It wasn't great, but that's kind of the takeaway there. And then there's not much. Jorge, 1 for 4. Yerlin Confidant, 0 for 3 with a walk and stole a base. And last but not least, the Daytona Tortugas. They won 2-1 over Tampa, now 15-18 on the season. Big day for Alfredo Duno, 2 for 4 with a homer and a double, now 4 home runs on the year. Sammy Stafora, 0 for 4, and then a rare off day for Carlos Sanchez, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
Also, another Grok 3.0 question and answer session. I'm trying to figure out if on the fly if it's going to provide it to me. The estimated currently record of the 3 teams that are A, AA, and AAA for your Cincinnati Reds are 56-71. So, bats are actually a decent little record, huh?
It's tough, man. So only the international. I don't know if anyone cares. I'm gonna tell you anyways. The International League, only 2 teams make the playoffs out of there's 20 teams, I think. Whereas if you're in the other 3, you are competing with 3 other teams, and you're actually really only competing with 2 other teams because each division is only 4 teams. 2 teams make the playoffs in each division.
Right.
And so your first half winner, if you don't win the first half, they can't automatically get it. So you literally have to finish first or second one of the halves and you're in the playoffs. Whereas in the International League, you have to be one of the 2 best teams in the whole league to get in the playoffs. So it's kind of really weird how they do that. But I guess no one in AAA really cares about playoffs because those guys are up and down and they're not really with the team the whole year. So I'm sure that probably has a lot to do with it too.
The chat knows how to make somebody giggle. I like that.
What is the Dayton Dragons run differential? It's not pretty. They got all the Chattanooga voodoo.
No, but it's funny, though. That's all that matters. It's funny. All right, folks. Reds do play more baseball, believe it or not. I don't know if you want to tune in, but if you do, we'll still be here. We'll be here live after each and every single game. They have a chance. They still have a chance to kind of get this in a spot here before the All-Star break, in my opinion, to be excited about it. Now, whether or not you believe that right now, I can understand why you wouldn't. This offense, hopefully they'll figure it out. I'm not suggesting that they will, but I'm hopeful that they might. So,
minus 45 is our Dayton Dragons run differential. Not the worst, though, in the Midwest League. The worst belongs to the South Bend Cubbies. Minus 63. Tough days for the Cubbies high A affiliate.
I bet. Yeah, I bet in Chicago they're
sweating. They know they're
sweating
cooked.
bullets.
They're cooked.
Yeah, I bet they are. All right, Nick. Little who, what, when, where, and why.
All right, Chicago White Sox. They come in 12-29. Did just win a series over the weekend against the Miami Marlins. White Sox are very thankful for the Colorado Rockies' struggles this year to get them off the hook. Reds will be going up against Jonathan Cannon in Game 1 on Tuesday. He is actually a third-round pick in 2022 out of Georgia. So got a little bit of promise. Hasn't really done a whole lot so far in his big league career. Has made pitched in 31 games, 28 starts, 4.38 ERA. Tuesday, 6:40, Andrew Abbott against Jonathan Cannon, right-handed pitcher. Wednesday, 7:14, Nick Lodolo against right-handed pitcher Davis Martin, 1-4, 4.01 ERA. And Thursday, 12:40, Nick Martinez against right-handed pitcher Bryce Wilson, 0-1, 4.88 ERA. I'll have a few more nuggets for you on the podcast tomorrow.
All right, and I did have one super here I want to get to before we leave. My apologies, Jacob. Didn't see it. He said, see Joe. Pretty sure he's talking about Connor Joe. Who else would he be talking about? See Joe trade is nibbling around the edges. The status quo is not working. We either need to make a few major splash moves or deal some veterans away. Jacob, I love you, brother. But the truth of the matter is that this is what we got. This is who we're going to have. If you think the Reds are going to make some big trade, I got some really good swampland to sell you down in Florida somewhere. So I just don't I don't mean to be degrading. I don't mean to be too pessimistic. I'm trying my best not to get overly ridiculous about the whole thing when we're sitting here on May 11th. But that's just not going to happen. And if this young core doesn't play well, then I got news for you. This Reds team's not going to be as good as we hope that they are going to be. And I think that's what this main thing's all about right now. So we'll see. Hopefully McLean and Ellie can get going and CES comes back at some point and all will be well again in the world. Same with Marte.
The position players acquired in Major League Baseball since the end of spring training. Connor Joe by the Reds. The last one before that was on April 26th. Gabe Workman got acquired by the White Sox. Alan Trejo by the Rockies. Cody Clemens by the Twins. And Rowdy Jordan by the Astros. Those are your only position player moves since the season started. Teams don't make moves until the deadline. Unless you just, again, we have mentioned the Orioles would be maybe the most unique trading partner because they're in a very similar spot to the Reds on the exact opposite where they desperately need pitching. They don't want to give up their top prospects. There could be something there, but the Orioles are almost in a spot where they may just have to say, we're packing it up for the year. I mean, they're 7.5 games back already, 12-24. They're 5.5 out of a wild card spot. So that would be maybe the one team that maybe there could be a unique early deal, but that's really probably about it.
The other thing, too, I want to mention as far as trying to make major splash moves, the Reds are obviously already proved that they're not looking to probably move. They're just not going to move prospects. And if they're going to move prospects, they're only going to do it unless they feel 100% that they're probably going to make the postseason. I know people might not like to hear that, but that's the truth. The reason they didn't make those moves in 2023, in my opinion, is because, one, they already felt like they were kind of budding. They had some young guys that were coming up. They felt good about where they were at. They didn't want to, trade guys away that might be the difference makers in 2 or 3 years. Now, we can all sit here and make fun of the fact of how that looks on the retro, which I know people will do. But the reality is that with a new CBA coming up, with the way that the Reds TV deal was kind of swirling at the time, there's just a lot of variables that go into basically being conservative. And I get it. This Reds franchise for a long time maybe hasn't done the things that you'd like them to do to try to win. I'm not trying to hold their water. I know people are thinking that I'm suggesting that I'm doing that. I'm not. I'm just trying to provide rational reasons as to why they didn't do some of the things that you think that they should do. And you are justifying it by saying they don't care about winning. I'm justifying it by saying, okay, these are probably the rational reasons as to why they're not doing the things that we hope that they do from time to time. If the Reds, to be clear, if the Reds are either tied or lead this division this time around, when it comes to the trade deadline, they will make a big move. They're not going to make a big move if they're 3-4 games back of the division, because we hope that they try to make a push to get into it. That's just not going to happen. And if put it this way, if we are not upset by the way in which this last offseason went, about what they went and what they did, and their major splash for the most part, you could say was the manager, then you're going to be disappointed. I'm going to say you're going to probably be disappointed by the in-season moves. But again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll go out and make a big splash. I wouldn't hold your breath. So, any other final parting thoughts before we go, Nick? Obviously, like the stream on the way out if you haven't already. Appreciate everybody supporting us, even though sometimes when we discuss this team, it's not something fun to talk about.
Well, let's good vibes this week. Let's get back on track and have a happy week.
Yeah, maybe we sweep the White Sox and we'll all come roaring back in here. We'll take some fireball shots. I hadn't had one of those in a long time. Take some fireball shots and we'll all be feeling pretty happy. But until then, we appreciate you. Go Reds, and we'll see you in Chicago.